Hey, friends. I have COVID. I've probably had it since like Friday or Saturday, but it really came down on me on Sunday. Monday, what was it? Yeah, Monday. I took a test, an antigen test, and it was positive. Yesterday, I took a different test from a different manufacturer, and it was also positive. I'm definitely COVID positive. Ooh, and people that I've interacted with, they seem to assume that it's a light case, and I think it's because when I start talking, I take a deep breath, speak to the diaphragm, put on the professional broadcasting voice, and I think it just makes me sound healthier. But I am wrecked. I am freaking wrecked, and it is a bizarre experience because it is as if COVID were a conscious, deliberate entity, and it has a big wheel with a bunch of symptoms on it, and every few minutes it just spins the wheel and something new comes up, and like the experience of having it changes so quickly that I can't get used to it. So it's just constantly in my face. But anyway, today's the day after the election. When I turned this on, I was just thinking I was going to tell you I've got COVID and then turn it off. But I'm in an interesting position in that, one, with the COVID and the self preoccupation, just, I'm directed inward. I just can't spare a whole lot of concern for the election, although I realize, it's important. Secondly, apologies. I get messages from a lot of different people, and I forget who says what, but somebody said recently, and it stuck with me: Democrats annoy me, Republicans scare me. And yeah, I mean, I can't say that I'm afraid of the Republicans. Um, I'm probably more distrustful of Democrats because it just seems that so many of them either mouth platitudes that they don't believe, but surely Republicans do it as well. I'm not saying I prefer Republicans. I'm just saying I'm not afraid of either one. They both annoy me. They annoy me in different ways. And when I say I'm not afraid of either group, both groups I think are dangerous. Both groups I think, if they seized power, this deadlock, this 50-50 or nearly 50-50 deadlock in the Senate, and a very close, slim majorities in the House, it inhibits any grand program from being implemented, and that's probably for the best, in my opinion. Like right now, I don't want either of these groups to have a free hand to impose their agenda on everybody. I'm registered in Arkansas. I'm not in Arkansas, so I couldn't have gone to the polls. I didn't request an absentee ballot. And, I don't like either faction. I don't wish success for either faction. I wish them to all fail. But at the same time, I can't really want that, because then the country fails. So, give me a minute. So the point I'm trying to get around to is that it's a very interesting experience. I didn't stay up and follow election results. I didn't have it in me. I needed rest, so I rested. But this morning I'm watching Rising, I'm watching Breaking Points, getting their state by state, race by race analysis, and also their big picture analysis. And I've seen pictures like on Twitter of people gloating. Like, for every candidate who's running, there's a group of people who support them gathered in some place to follow the returns. And inevitably, it's like a sporting event. You're rooting for your team, and one of the teams is going to lose. And the supporters of the winning team love to, trumpet the unhappiness of the supporters of the losing team. And I see that, and I'm watching it, and I can't say I'm trying really, really hard, but just casually attempting to inhabit the headspace of somebody who's going to crow over the misery of their defeated, enemy partisans, I'm not into it. I can't get into that headspace. And, from my sort of detached pox on both your houses perspective, it just seems vindictive and not at all admirable behavior. And, the fact that you get to do this because your candidate won, which means your point of view now has a bit more power over the lives of other people, it really makes me, distrust your faction all the more. But the problem is, for me anyway, I mean, not for you, that there is no other faction that I favor over your faction. So I kind of have to content myself by just sitting back and saying, I didn't choose the current crop of leaders. I didn't choose the current power structure. I'm not endorsing it, but at the same time, I don't want to see it rapidly and violently destabilized, because I think that would create widespread misery. And most importantly, from my perspective, I don't know what the future brings. I don't know what the consequences of particular events will be. I'm fairly certain that if I got my way on everything, if every wish that I made came true in terms of immediate outcomes of events, then in the long run, that probably wouldn't be the best course for me or for the planet or for the people who live on it. When I say the planet, I mean the non-human life on the planet. The planet itself will be fine, as I'm fond of saying. So I kind of have to sit back and just be a dedicated observer of events. I can't get my way because my way is not even on the table. It's not an option. It's not open even really for discussion in polite society. And so, I don't want to say I'm just hoping for the best, because that's useless, but I'm just trying to stay emotionally disengaged from it all, to not make sweeping judgments about people who behave badly in the moment because, I know they're caught up in something that I'm not caught up in. And, there are times when I'm caught up in something that other people aren't caught up in, and they look at me and they think I'm a nut. So, I don't know. I can't say that I'm disappointed that the red wave didn't materialize. There's a part of me that is irked by the dishonesty of the Democrats. And as I've said so many times before, I used to be a supporter of the Democratic Party. Even when I was voting Libertarian, knowing that my candidate wasn't going to win, couldn't possibly win, I was hoping that the Democrat would win. And so I never supported the Republicans. I never thought highly of them. I never expected anything but venal, opportunism from them, and, dishonest, moral self-superiority. And so I'm not disappointed in them. They never betrayed me because they were always garbage. Maybe the Democrats were always garbage, but it's kind of hard to believe that the Democratic Party that I first came to understand as an entity in the 1980s is the same Democratic. I mean, clearly it's not the same Democratic Party. It's composed of different people. The people, who were in power in the 80s, for the most part, have died. But yeah, the Republicans never disappointed me because I never invested any faith or hope or goodwill in them, or assumed goodwill from them. I think that the Democratic Party is not a living entity. It's not a single conscious entity that makes decisions on its own. It is composed of people who struggle for power and succeed to some degree or another. But the egregore, or the collective sort of personality of this beast that has emerged in recent years, to me is quite not only disappointing, not only unpalatable, but it does just really seem very dangerous in the way that, left-wing revolutionaries, right-wing revolutionaries, left-wing extremists, right-wing extremists, they're both clearly dangerous, but the really horrific body counts rack up when the left wins. The radical crazy left. And so that's, for me, the worst case scenario, where, the crazy aspect of the Democratic Party is ascendant. But at the same time, I have to say, I can't feel sorry for the Republicans. I can't feel disappointed in their, the lack of red wave that was anticipated. And I kind of have to thank the Supreme Court, for making the abortion issue front and center and detracting from the economy. Because if we were running on the economy and the current administration were held accountable for our current economic circumstances, it would have been a red wave. And historically, as I understand it anyway, the first midterm after the election of a new president usually goes against them. And just other things being equal, it should have here as well. And other things weren't equal. There were many factors that should have pushed the Republicans well into the winner's circle. And I have to think that, and it's certainly not my idea, this is what everybody's saying, it's the abortion issue. And yeah, there are regional specialty issues. I'm going to stop talking now. It will be a while before I post again. I'll talk to you later.